On today's episode of The Unwritten Rule, Mizzou football has its game in St. Louis. We're going to preview the Tigers matchup against Memphis. We also have some football and men's basketball recruiting updates. Payton will give his uniform review. It just dropped. We're recording right at noon on a Thursday. So just dropped fresh threads for St. Louis. Payton will give his uniform review. And then we have a quick Mizzou soccer update because they've been killing it as well. We'll do quick hits, and then we have our fraud rankings for the NFL's week 2 to finish out the show. So plenty to dive into to start your weekend. Mizzou football's 3-0. We're feeling good. And with that, the unwritten rule starts right now.
Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Peyton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to The Unwritten Rule. Today is Friday, September 22nd, and Mizzou football is making their first road trip of the season. Kind of. I believe they're still designated as the home team, but playing in St. Louis against Memphis after a wild game against Kansas State. I don't think any of us, certainly based on our predictions before that game, expected this Tigers team to be here, but here they are. With, maybe an injury-riddled quarterback. We got some updates on that. In fact, I say we probably should just start there. Brady Cook, he was awesome. We're going to get into some of the accolades he got after this game during the week. But yeah, we had some updates, Peyton and Kenny. What did we learn about Cook's status? Do we think he's going to be good to go for Memphis? And then, what are the vibes, couple of days removed now from Kansas State and looking ahead toward Memphis here on Saturday?
Yeah, Cook, he didn't practice on Tuesday. Drink said his knee was all black and blue, all bruised up. That all starts to show up the day after he hyperextended it. But he was back at practice yesterday. Mizzou tweeted a photo of him practicing, standing next to a smiling Elijah Drinkwitz, and that's good news for Mizzou. No matter what people say at this point, Brady Cook is the guy. He absolutely has earned it, and Mizzou needs him to be healthy. They need him to be healthy to probably give them their best shot at 8 or 9 wins this year, which I think is the ultimate goal. And it looks like he'll be able to play this weekend.
He picked up a nice award this past week as well. Jack mentioned the accolades. He was one of the Week 3 Manning Award Stars of the Week. 23 for 35, 356 yards to the air, those 2 touchdowns. This is the second time he's been one of the Stars of the Week for the Manning Award. Last year against South Carolina, we know that was a great game with him and Dominic Lovett. Setting up some great passes there. So this is a good step forward for Brady Cook, especially against a Power 5 team, to get this recognition.
We're going to get back to the Mizzou-Memphis preview in just a minute, but first, a word from our sponsor, Bet Online. Football is back, and Bet Online is your number one information source for all your sports wagering info, with all the up-to-minute stats, news, scores, and matchup breakdowns. Get the latest game, odds, spreads, and totals from the NFL and college football, all at your fingertips with Bet Online's real-time updates on statistics, news, and odds. From week 1 all the way to the college football playoff and Super Bowl, Bet Online gives you access to the best football promotions and contests available anywhere online. Head to the website today and use your mobile device to get in on the action. Remember, use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, BELIEVE, to receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. And now back to Mizzou-Memphis preview. Yeah, Dominic Lovett, shout out. His Twitter mentions got a little bit leaked out, given Mizzou's current results. But Brady Cook was great. I threw some takes out there because I wrote like a little article about why fans probably shouldn't be worried about him. Obviously, he dealt with an injury last year, has terrible luck against Kansas State with that. It ended up being a torn labrum that he played through. Was clearly not 100%. But the take I threw out there was, I would hope that if he is a little bit less mobile, One, we've kind of seen this team scheme around that against Kansas State. They were, he was able to kind of hang in the pocket a little bit more, didn't use his legs as much as we're maybe used to, but he was slinging it. He was throwing dimes. And the other thing is, I would hope that Nathaniel Pete and Cody Schrader are going to have a little bit, more of an impact, considering they're not playing a run defense like Kansas State. But, looking at Memphis, I mean, what problems, Payton? I know you've watched a brief bit of film, and just what about Memphis based on what we saw last week. What maybe problems can we expect to have them cause if they want to take Mizzou's record and not make it undefeated anymore?
Yeah, I mean, they're 3-0. Granted, they've played 3 pretty bad teams: Navy, Arkansas State, and Bethune-Cookman, I want to say. But they have done what they needed to do largely. They almost did lose to Navy last week, but that was a Thursday game. Things can get a little weird. Maybe they were overlooking Navy to prepare for Mizzou. All of those things are possible. The main thing for Mizzou is just going to be, can't have a hangover game, okay? Last year, I mean, the thing about last year, Kansas State beats Mizzou 40-12. Very next week at home, Kansas State loses to Tulane. And yes, that Tulane team wound up going to a New Year's Six. They did wind up beating USC in the Cotton Bowl, I believe it was. But Mizzou has got to be ready to face a very, very motivated Memphis team. I mean, this was originally supposed to be a home game for Memphis, and they were bought out of it. Got it in Mizzou's backyard. You're playing in front of Ryan Wingo. You're playing in front of just the St. Louis area. This is a pretty important game, and Memphis, I think, is going to cause Mizzou some problems. They've got a lot of playmakers on offense. Seth Hannigan, their quarterback, he is a little turnover prone. He's thrown 3 picks already this year, but 791 yards through the air already. Their running back, Blake Watson, on 40 carries, is averaging 7.4 yards a carry. So it's going to be a tough challenge. And from the 5 minutes of the Navy-Memphis game that I watched, Memphis likes to get the ball out quick. So I know Blake Baker likes to draw up some blitzes. It's going to be key that either that pressure gets there early or that they maybe mix it up a bit coverage-wise, because Memphis can get the ball out quick. They have playmakers in the receiving core and, of course, Watson out of the backfield. So it'll be a good challenge for Mizzou defensively as well.
Speaking of that motivation, too, it's got to be very motivating for a lot of these St. Louis kids that are on this Mizzou roster to go and play in the Dome. Of course, it's not the same place it was a couple years ago when the Rams were still there. It's kind of run down, but it's still St. Louis. You're going home to play here. I mean, Cody Schrader is a St. Louis kid, Luther Burden, Mookie Cooper, Brett Norfleet, and go on and on. This is a huge game for them as well. And they shouldn't, they shouldn't let up. They shouldn't take it for granted. And Harrison Mevis, who's not a St. Louis kid, but he mentioned, why should people come to this game? Because we're going to be 4-0. You have to have that mentality. You have to be able to carry that. You have to be able to, walk the walk if you're going to talk the talk. And I think this Mizzou Tigers team can do that. The one thing I will mention about the Memphis defensive side of the ball, this is just a quick ratings and stars that I found. Their nose tackle and defensive tackle, Joshua White and Josh Ellison, 2 big boys, 6'4", 6'3", and both at 300 pounds. They were 3 and 4 stars out of school. The secondary for Memphis doesn't grade that well. It's not a bunch, it's not loaded with any high star ranking players. Of course, it's not a Power 5 team, but that looks maybe like their weakness from what I've been reading and what I've been seeing. So maybe that's an area for Brady Cook. If he's feeling 100%, he can really unload some of those deep balls to Theo Weiss, Mookie Cooper, Luther Burden, really anyone.
Sounds to me, based on what I'm hearing, is that, you can kind of expose that secondary on offense. And similarly, we should be once again rooting for turnovers on defense for Missouri to cause that, is with a little bit of a seemingly pick-prone quarterback that Memphis has got, from what Payton said. And Kenny, you make some good points. I mean, they should embrace this game. Drinkwitz, the way he's been recruiting, the whole lockdown the borders mentality, this should be a game that you take a lot of pride in, that you want to go show out, and you want to be 4-0, obviously, at the end of the day, but not just 4-0. You want to put a statement out there. This is a team, after a big win against Kansas State, didn't get ranked. And this is just a thought I had, maybe that causes them to play a little bit less complacent than if they did have that number by their name. And now it's like, well, we're still not getting the respect we deserve. We beat a top 15 team. We got to keep, got to keep the wheels rolling, got to keep winning. And yeah, I mean, the goal is 5-0 LSU. So yeah, that's going to be a big day for the St. Louis kids and for Mizzou to keep proving to people that it probably deserves to be in that top 25.
For sure. And I mean, I mentioned going back real quick here before we move on, but talking about this offensive line, I talked about those 2 nose tackles, the 2 defensive tackles. This was an interesting quote from Drinkwitz relayed by Wendell Shepard of the Columbia Missourian. Right now, the MVP of our offensive line is Xavier Delgado. And coming into the year, we were kind of thinking maybe he'd be one of the guards that loses his job. And to Drinkwitz, he's looked really good. Another thing that he mentioned is that Marcellus Johnson was also not practicing at the beginning of the week. He didn't play in the second half against Kansas State. So things to monitor looking forward about how this offensive line shakes out. Something we've talked about at length multiple times, so we don't have to get too deep into that again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been all right injury bug wise, knock on wood. But we never root for injuries. Okay, let's go to the most important thing about this game. Payton, we got the uniform review. We're recording right at noon here on Thursday. I mentioned it in the intro. So we got the uniform drop kind of right away before we started. What are the Tigers rocking heading into the Lou on Saturday?
Yeah, it's a 4th straight oval tiger. Really interesting. No tiger script, no block M early in the year. But it is a solid uniform set. It's the black helmets, the prototypical black helmet, just plain oval tiger. The gold jerseys, which I love the gold jerseys personally. I don't know how everyone else feels about them. I thought the best uniform Mizzou wore last year was against New Mexico State. The gold jerseys, white pants, white helmet, yellow tiger script. But the yellow jerseys, black pants, pretty solid uniform. Nothing super flashy. I believe this is the first time the gold jerseys have been busted out. So interesting to see that. It's a good uniform set. Nothing super flashy, but it gets the job done. I prefer the gold jerseys with white helmets, I think, but the black looks good with it as well.
Yeah, this is the first game with the gold jerseys. And I want to get your take on this as well, Payton. I kind of I think that the block M could have brought out for this game, could have been brought out for the Kansas State game, just based on where you're playing and who you're playing with the history. Do you like that they're kind of sticking with the oval tiger right now, and maybe they'll break out the script tiger for a really big game? And you don't want to make it to where you're just, blind to it, that it's oh, we're in the script tiger again. You just want it to be on special occasions, maybe twice a year. I think that's a good way to go about it. Is that something you feel as well?
For sure. I mean, they wore it 4 or 5 times last year, but I think that was just because it was brand new and they wanted everyone to see just the different variants they had of it. And for the most part, I thought it was very, very pretty. But I do agree with that. It's an alternate helmet and you should wear it sparingly. I would say you probably should wear the Black M more than you should wear Tiger Script, just because I will respect the history and tradition behind that. But yeah, I think at least twice a year you got to bust out the yellow with the white Tiger Script, or the white with the black or yellow Tiger Script, because they do look pretty. They were something Drinkwitz introduced, and if he's going to be here a long time, why not bust it out every once in a while?
This is where I'll go with the next question. If we don't want to jinx anything, we don't want to look too far ahead. You beat Memphis, you beat Vanderbilt. You breaking out anything special against LSU? Or are you just going regular uniform?
What are you rocking, Payton? If you're the uniform, you get to decide.
See, I think at that point, and that's just assuming that you get through Memphis, which is nothing easy, and you never know how you're going to respond on your first true road game against Vanderbilt. I would think you have to bust something special out for LSU, especially because there's the potential game day could come to that. It's not a certainty, because I know that week Duke, Notre Dame is also going to be on the radar. But my uniform combo personally, I can definitely see the argument of just going, straight blackout, black jersey, black oval tiger, black pants. I personally would go I can't believe I'm gonna say this. Black
Block M.
old gold block M, black jersey, black pants is what I would go with. And if you don't go with that, I think that's a Tiger script game. I
gonna
don't think
say
you go with Oval Tiger there.
I think Drinkwitz wants a Tiger script if that's the situation we're in.
Yeah.
If it is a game day, I'm thinking the block M, like you're saying, black jerseys, gold pants, like they did against Oklahoma. I think that's the last time you had game.
Oh, just copy
13
what
years ago.
that game
Yeah,
day
that
fit
would
was.
be
big
pretty.
That's smart. That's smart.
That would be sick. But yeah, no, I think you have to go an old gold block M.
I also, and I've been doing this a lot, myself. I love how much we're talking about like if they get there, but yet, we're thinking they get there. So hopefully,
Mizzou is only a 1 touchdown favorite this weekend. Let's keep that in perspective. Memphis is good. Mizzou's got to make sure they play motivated for that.
And for those that might be listening to this, there was a conglomerate of us in 2019, our freshman year, when Kelly Bryant was quarterback. After the Wyoming game, Mizzou gets ranked a couple weeks later. How can Mizzou make the playoff was like the thought. And
certainly,
they finished 6-6
the thought.
We're banned from bowl games. So that's where we kind of sit on this stuff. So if anyone's like questioning our thoughts, just know that we were dumb college kids at one point.
Yeah, and I've seen.
I still am.
I think Mizzou fans are they've seen this movie before. You get that galvanizing win. I mean, just last year, Mizzou had that awesome performance against Georgia. They go out the next week and lay an absolute egg against a bad Florida team. So Drink has done a good job. He has said if we lose this weekend, last week was for absolutely nothing. And I think that's the mentality they got to have. I get Harrison Mevis is the most confident guy ever, but like I get queasy thinking about the we're going to be 4-0 clip because I'm just like, what if we're not? But we'll have to see.
That'll get memed. I will give us some backing with the 2019 make the playoff take. I think a lot of us wanted that to be because of the fact they were banned from bowl games. And we were just like, well, what if they go to the college football playoff? You can't keep them out of there if they're banned. Like you got to lift the ban at that point or a New Year's 6.
It's just kind of sad.
That could have been where we're coming from.
We had those thoughts because that year after they lost to Wyoming, they absolutely eviscerated West Virginia.
Yeah.
Then they beat a South Carolina team that later beat Georgia. So yeah, I think everyone got caught up in the hype a bit. I definitely was like, oh man, like they could just get through Georgia. I mean, that's an 11-1 team. And yeah, they went 6-6.
Wild. So yeah, definitely we'll be prepared to be humbled if that happens. But obviously Mizzou's not hoping that to happen against Memphis. Let's go now to Kenny mentioned, some of the people that these Tigers are going to be playing in front of. Of course, Drinkwitz is heavily recruiting St. Louis. He has been his whole thing. Sorry, Payton mentioned it, not Kenny. But yeah, let's go to that because we've had some recruiting updates, and we'll start with obviously the big one. Ryan Wingo, of course, who we've been talking about pretty much all summer, along with Williams Nwaneri. Obviously, nothing official until he signs on the dotted line. Same thing with Wingo. We know he's been open about pushing his recruitment back, but we've had some updates there that maybe have not been quite in Mizzou's favor, and then we got a couple other recruiting stuff as well that has kind of been in Mizzou's favor. So what's been going on, gentlemen, on the recruiting spectrum?
Yeah, so bad news on the Ryan Wingo front. Gabe, it's kind of started to trend towards Texas early in the year just because Texas has had a meteoric start. And Gabe DeArmond, who had a feature cast in for Mizzou, flipped it to Texas. Now, it's still 3 months out. We still have no word if he's going to recruit, if he's going to commit early. But he is going to the game this weekend. He said the Dome is 5 minutes from his house, which I find interesting because it's smack dab in the middle of downtown. But a new visit came out this week. He's going to be Ryan Wingo at Colorado when Colorado hosts USC. That is next week. And then it is expected that he will probably be back at Mizzou at some point. I don't know when, but yeah, that was not positive news on the Ryan Wingo front.
Another thing that came across our social media is that Mizzou landed a preferred walk-on in Graham Gilmer, offensive lineman. He says he's a 3-star. A nice walk-on there from Brentwood Academy in Tennessee.
There you go. And then we had Aidan Glover, right? He got his he's a 4-star now for On3 quarterback guy.
He is, yes. So Aidan Glover on 3 updated their rankings. I believe they also made Williams Nwaneri the number 1 recruit.
The number 1.
But when Wendell Shepard tweeted on 3 now lists Mizzou 2024 QB commit Aidan Glover as a 4-star. He's the 248th player ranked nationally. He previously was not ranked. So that is really looking like a positive pickup. I have seen some highlights of his from his high school games. He is balling out, no doubt about it. Where's Daniel Kalen ranked as my only player?
Take that.
Yeah,
He's going to Boise State now. He flipped from Nebraska. If this was a question I always had, because Bush Hamden, like that was his number 1 guy. That was the guy you talked to every single day. He stuck around a little bit after Bush left for Boise State to take the OC job. Bush was interviewed for the quarterbacks coach job with the Chiefs. Was Daniel Kalen maybe thinking, I can jump college and go straight to the NFL to be with my guy? I did think it was interesting. Of course, he's good for him. He gets to go to his dream school. He gets to stay home, go to Nebraska. That's where he's wanted to go his whole life. But at the same time, I really thought that there was going to be a chance he goes to Boise State because him and Bush seemed really tight. I mean, Bush went to his house like every other month. So it was very interesting, but, good for Daniel Kalen as well.
I'm happy for him.
Being Matt Rule's second choice and being totally fine with it.
His announcement video was something when he was like, he had the little timeline. It was like first Nebraska game.
It skipped like 4 years long. Too.
Yeah,
it was like every other year, and then it skipped 4 years. Like, what happened? Where'd you go?
What happened there? He became a Mizzou fan for a little bit,
or
a Boise State fan when Hamden left. So some wishy-washy, I guess, updates depending on where you stand. Wingo. I think we've been kind of saying for a while that that's going to be a bit of a reach for Mizzou. I will laugh if it comes down to hats on the table time, and it is Drinkwitz versus Dion for Nwaneri's or for Wingo's services. That would be something.
Things would have had to have gone off the rails for Texas then. But no, I honestly for the longest time thought Wingo was the more obtainable of the 5 stars between him and Nwaneri, but that is just over the last month, really, I guess, since Nwaneri committed, it's kind of looked more and more like Wingo might be going to Texas.
It's not a good start for you as our unwritten crystal ball guy, Payton. I'm just saying. It's got to be better.
As long as I've always said, as long as I got one.
We might post a LinkedIn thing. We're just going to be looking around. We're just shopping to see if anyone wants to take the crystal ball job.
Yeah.
You can stick around.
We're hiring. We won't pay you. You can't be on the show.
I work
Payton
on
still gets to be on the show.
Anyways.
Yeah. Works on contract. Okay, staying on the recruiting track, we got some men's basketball stuff because Dennis is just still being Dennis. And season starts. What are we under 50 days? Something like that.
Yep.
I'm so excited just for college basketball in general. It's just gonna be great. But Dennis, a couple of names. We'll start out with the 4-star Chase McCarty. He's cut his list to 6. Mizzou, Georgia Tech, Houston, Kansas, Tennessee, and Texas Tech. Two-way wing. He's number 94 in the ESPN Top 100. So I don't think we know if when his announcement's going to be, but he has Mizzou in his final 6. Shout out to Georgia Tech for hanging around. I've made fun of them a little bit for being in this grouping, but good on them.
Yeah, don't doubt Damon Stoudemire. Yeah, gosh, they are just recruiting. I mean, they're linked to just about everybody. Trilly Donovan, the good old Trilly Don, infamous Trilly Don for the Matthew Cleveland recruitment. But he quote tweeted this. He said he would give Houston a slight edge over the field now, and he would have Missouri and Tennessee in the next tier. Trilly Donovan's proven to be pretty reliable. That's all I'll say about it. And I still think Mizzou is really aiming for Boateng and Quaintance. But I mean, Dennis Gates has always said, recruit as if nobody's going to be here next year, and then figure the roster spots out. So would not shock me if they would take McCarty as well.
It's pretty cool to see 4 teams have been in a Final Four in the last 5 years, and then Mizzou. I mean, that's refreshing. We talked about that before. Just you can talk about it forever.
That's a good point.
About how much like Mizzou has been in the recruiting sphere since Dennis took over, and it's like a collection of tournament powerhouses in Georgia Tech and Mizzou. And I mean, Mizzou can get to that level under Dennis, and we believe that. This is just another stepping stone towards that goal.
Yeah. Kenny, I'll let you get your take on the next guy that Dennis has been looking at, because it's this guy, Larry Johnson, who this again, just as Dennis being Dennis, we didn't really even know how much he was on Mizzou's radar. But he is making his decision soon, and he has Mizzou in his Final Four or Final Five. And you liked the little announcement for his decision for a particular reason, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Larry Johnson announced his Final Five on September 18th. He's going to announce his commitment today while we're recording at 1 p.m. Pacific time. So you'll know by the time this episode comes out where he's going to school. But Larry Johnson is Creighton, Virginia Tech, Mississippi State, Illinois, and Mizzou. And it's a pack of cards, and it says exclusive pack, 4-star Larry Johnson, shooting guard, 6'4", 175 pounds, Southern California Academy, 24. Really cool graphic. I assume 247 maybe got in on this as well because they have it on there, and that's where he's going to announce his commitment. Overall, great work. I'd never heard of Larry Johnson until he announced his Final Five. Sometimes it happens with some basketball players, but a very strong shooting guard at 6'4", it's 175 pounds.
It is a sick graphic.
I agree. The graphic is really sick. And I think the reason we've not really heard about him is because he's not visited once, and he does not appear to be very high on Mizzou's priority list. I would not worry about this one, really.
Yeah. But again, the Dennis effect.
You'll know by the time this episode comes out where he's
Yeah, that's true.
Jack can throw up a graphic if he wants.
Unfortunate timing. I'll make the same cards graphic, but I'll just put one team on there instead of 4 or instead of 5. But it's again the Dennis effect. He's keeping them, in there because he knows like it's an appealing place to play now. So, that is important there. And then the only other one is Jayden Quaintance started his visit, I believe today. If I'm remembering correctly, the 5-star. So that's obviously a big moment. Doesn't have a football game to go to though, unfortunately.
Nope.
Can't see the atmosphere.
Maybe they'll head on over to St. Louis. Who knows? But that's a big one. That's the big one.
Does Mizzou soccer play this weekend at home, Jack?
They play today, actually. Yeah, so you can go to that.
Oh, he could go to that.
And they're killing it. That's a good segue. Unless you guys have anything else on Quaintance, it's a big visit, literally too. He's huge. It's like 6'10", 240. So, but good segue, Kenny. Because Mizzou soccer. Quick update. They have been killing it lately. They recently had back-to-back player of the weeks. Kylee Simmons won it this past week. Got a bunch of praise from the SEC. Won offensive player of the week after she scored a hat trick against Florida, and Mizzou won that game 3-2. Bella Hollenbach got it the week before, so they've had back-to-back. She got defensive player of the week. So they've had back-to-back players of the week. In the SEC. They've been killing it on a 3-game win streak. They play Auburn tonight. So good to see the goal line era is fully coming into effect. And that's hopefully they can continue on and do good stuff. I know they have like back-to-back ranked games against Georgia and Arkansas, so that'll be a true test. But good for Mizzou soccer there. And shout out Kylee Simmons. Let the goals keep flowing. We have Bayer Leverkusen on right now too. Speaking of soccer, playing Europa League game.
Got the jersey on as well. If you go to the YouTube, you'll see it.
There you go.
Nice home kit. One more thing, just on some other sports. Mizzou men's golf. Jack London won SEC Golfer of the Week.
There we go.
After the first visit to the Chicago Highlands Invitational. I've heard that he's been on a storm right now. Corte Vincent of the Columbia Missourian. He's your golf guy. He is your golf guy. We know Callum is a big golf guy as well. Callum's really focused on the football beat at the moment. But if you're looking for some more stuff on golf, you check out Corte.
Yeah, he is the designated golf guy. Okay, with that good Mizzou segment, we'll see how the Tigers do against Memphis on Saturday. And with that, we will segue, move on to quick hits. Okay, quick hits time. Kenneth, get us started. What's your jersey of the week?
Started off kind of sad news in the NFL this past Monday. Nick Chubb had a season-ending knee injury, similar to the one he had at Georgia, but he came back strong, and he came back even better. I mean, Nick Chubb is one of the best running backs in the league. His mom was actually talking to a fan. A fan came up to her with his phone and said, "Who's the best running back in the league?" She was like, "Nick Chubb." And unfortunately, Nick had the season-ending injury soon after. It was very, don't look up the video. I mean,
don't watch it.
It's brutal. You don't need
bad.
to watch it. It sucks. I mean, who hates Nick Chubb? I mean, no one hates Nick Chubb, and he's a good guy. Never had an issue with him, but wishing him the best and hope he comes back strong.
It's a big loss for the Browns offense too. They built that offense around that ground attack with him. Big loss for fantasy owners. I did have Nick Chubb on one of my teams. I know that's not what truly matters, but that was a bummer. And I missed out. Did they re-sign Kareem Hunt?
They did.
Yep.
And I missed out picking him up off the waivers. So my fantasy team's cooked. But yeah, we hate injuries. Everyone hates injuries, especially when they are like that. They literally I think that's one of the first times I've heard on the note on the broadcast to be like, we're not going to show this. And yeah, so brutal for Nick Chubb, but hopefully he has a speedy recovery.
Remember in the Mizzou Auburn game, an O lineman got hurt and they wouldn't show it. And they said, I forget who it was. Kenny might be able to shed some light on that. Was it Zeke Powell?
It was Zeke Powell. It was the last game he ever played because he was out of eligibility. I forgot about Zeke Powell. You unlocked him some memories.
Yeah, his injury was apparently so bad they wouldn't show it. It's just that's how rough football can get sometimes.
The one I will never forget was I just was randomly watching this game, but it was Cavs Celtics basketball, and it was the Gordon Hayward one. Just oh my God, that was terrible. I couldn't. I think they did show the replay of that too, and I was like, why? Please turn this off.
The one I remember is Paul George with Team USA.
Yeah,
that is a terrible one.
Yeah.
I remember people were blaming James Harden because he was in the area and he bumped into him and then he fell.
What?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
The one I can remember is definitely, I remember where I was. I was at the beach and in my hotel room.
I think I know which
Duke,
one.
Louisville.
Yeah.
And I saw the Kevin Ware injury.
Oh.
It was terrible.
Yeah. Terrible stuff. We hate injuries. We hate injuries. We wish they would never happen.
Georgia State? Is that where he ended up? Or Georgia?
I forget. He transferred somewhere.
He had to leave. I mean, he was not a spot for him anymore.
Tough. All right, Payton.
My jersey of the week, Cam Akers, fantasy's worst player, has a new home. He was traded to the Minnesota Vikings. That is the most hilarious collection of running backs I've ever seen. Alexander Madison and Cam Akers will be battling it out to see who gets 7 carries for 22 yards every Sunday. But
Battle of mid.
Cam Akers, I mean, just after the last 2 years, definitely needed a fresh start. That was just best for everyone involved. Maybe he can find that rookie year form. It's just the life of a running back at the end of the day.
Yeah. Battle of mid. It's almost Kirktober. We'll get to that. My jersey of the week, I'm staying in football. I'm going to the college game, though. I'm doing a Cam McCormick, who some people will know, maybe, I guess if you're a Miami fan. But mostly you'll probably know him because he is currently petitioning the ACC for a 9th season of college football eligibility. Wild. He said too, this thing I'm looking at from On3 says he might not even use the year, but he wants to have it as an option. This is just insane. I want to I know we have our takes on this. I found another tweet he's been playing in college football, I believe, since 2016. These were some other people in his recruiting class in college when he started. Rashawn Gary, Shea Patterson,
Shea Magic,
Nick Bosa, Michael Pittman, and Miles Sanders were all in his college recruiting class, and he's still playing in college. 9th season. The other thing this prompted, we were having a discussion with some of our other friends. If they just, granted unlimited eligibility, you could just play in college until, you essentially wanted to retire from the sport. What other players would you guys want to see playing college football for as long as they possibly could? My first one was Johnny Manziel, obviously. Stays in, has the NIL money. Luther Burden.
Yeah.
Who did I say the other day? Stetson Bennett. I mean,
Stetson Bennett,
that would be the best thing for him. Just
Yeah.
continue to be the face of Georgia.
the Georgia QB.
That'd get annoying
Duggan.
quickly.
It's been
Max
annoying
Duggan.
already.
Okay, the one I'm gonna go a little off the wall. I'm gonna go a group of 5 player. I'm gonna go Quentin Flowers, the old USF quarterback. I don't know if you guys have ever watched this guy. He is my favorite non-Mizzou college football player ever. Quentin Flowers,
There you
back
go.
when USF and UCF were battling in just like it was 10-1 USF against 11-0 UCF one year, and Quentin Flowers and UCF put on an absolute show. That would be my underrated answer because he wasn't good enough to play quarterback in the NFL, but Quentin Flowers
a good one.
would be my pick.
I remember him in the XFL because he was a Viper.
Yep.
He was. I don't think they played in wherever USF is. I think USF's in Tampa, but
Yeah, they play in
might have
Raymond
played in the
James.
same stadium, right?
Yeah, they play in Raymond James. So
And the Vipers played there as well. So he kind
I
of went
believe-
back to his old stomping ground. So that was cool to see. I remember Quentin Flowers. For some reason in my mind, he was a lot better than he was. I've looked up some of his stats right now and just how things went for him. Like to me, it was like I don't know, like for some reason he could have been a Heisman guy. Just like
look at
dark
his
horse, but
rushing stats too.
I know he's rushing. He had 1,500 yards on the ground in 2016.
He was
He
ridiculous.
led the NCAA in average per carry of all quarterbacks,
I bet.
and he had 18 touchdowns on the ground. This is
Oh,
incredible. 24
He
through
was
the
a
air.
legend.
There's so many players like that. Just college legends. Like for some, their skill
Mhm.
set just doesn't really translate.
Kellen
My
Moore
pick-
would have been awesome.
Kellen Moore, Tim Tebow. My pick would have
Mm-hmm.
been Melvin Gordon. I mean, flamed out in the NFL, but he was a Heisman runner-up back in the day. Just watched him continue to break NCAA records.
Who was the? I always get them confused. Who was the Peppers at Michigan
Jabril.
that played both?
Jabril
Jabril
Peppers.
Peppers. I think he would have been fun to continue playing just both sides of the ball forever. This kind of reminds me of Austin Aune, who was a quarterback at North Texas. He was
Oh, yeah.
30 years old. Like he just turned 30 like this past month, but he was 29 in his last year at North Texas. That's incredible.
That's nuts.
I remember some of the stories. Like he played baseball. He was in the Yankees system and he came back. You see that every now and then.
Mhm.
But
Hayden Hurst did that.
Hayden Hurst, Russell Wilson. It's just crazy that a 29-year-old, that guy has a family and he's playing with teenagers.
Yeah, people 10 years younger than him.
He was throwing passes
Or
to
more.
Jay Macklin, who was like 19.
Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah. So Cam McCormick. Yeah, all the replies were just like, I don't think it's meant to be, man. It's time to go into the real world. Super senior.
All right, guess that college this week. You guys know the rules. It feels like we haven't done one of these in a long time, but we're back into it. Episode 32. We're going to start it off in the baseball world. One of the most iconic home runs of all time with Kirk Gibson.
I feel like I have a general idea, but I don't know for sure yet.
Okay.
Not a clue.
We're going to go to UFC. I think this might be the second or third time we've done something with
Don't know.
UFC or wrestling. We're going to do Rashad Evans.
No idea.
Okay.
I only know
Next one.
Conor
Uh,
McGregor and Khabib.
Might have been, you can call him a long-time NFL wide receiver. He played nearly 13 seasons. Derek Mason.
He was Vanderbilt's old coach, and I know that's not the same guy, but
Oh, I just had a thought, but I don't. No,
Like
no,
15
that's not
seasons.
right.
Wow, he played a
That's
lot
not
longer than I
right.
thought he did.
I don't know this one.
Moving on. Jack, or do you have a guess?
I have
He
a
does
couple
have a guess.
floating.
Brain
No,
is
that's.
empty
Oh, I
right
have.
now.
No, I don't. I don't.
Okay, this next one could give it away. I don't remember this guy playing college at all. But former Memphis Grizzlies power forward Zach Randolph.
I don't know. Dang it. I don't
I should
any of
know. Zebo.
I feel like it's a Southwest school, but that's like my only general guess.
For some reason, Derek made like a couple of name or places popped in, but I think it's because I'm thinking of other people. Was that the last one?
That is the last one. That's number 4.
I don't know then. This is going to be one I don't win.
Do you guys want to throw a guess out there? Just throw one. Yeah,
Like
one.
Arizona, I have no idea,
Okay.
really.
Jack?
We had Arizona on this show, so I don't think it's that.
Oh, did we? UCLA is my
Yeah.
guess then.
Okay.
I don't think he went to UCLA.
I don't either, but I have no idea.
The two that went in my, for some reason, what one popped in my head was West Virginia when they were like really good back in like 07, but I don't think that's right. And then the other one that popped in my head was Auburn, but I think I'm thinking of Trey Mason, not Derek Mason.
You are. Trey Mason, who ran roughshod over Mizzou in
Where
the
the hell did Zach
2013
Randolph
SEC
go to
title.
college?
I don't know.
Just to for the not have this is bad radio. I don't know.
More bad radio.
Yeah,
You gotta have one. Just give me one.
Think
Give
of
me
a,
one.
I can't
Just
think
give
of
me
a good
anything.
guess.
Just say a
New
school.
New
Just say
Mexico
school.
State.
Oh,
New Mexico State.
Okay. You guys were both way off. I'll give you a fifth person.
Can we have a hit?
and-
Or yeah, fifth.
Yeah, Draymond Green.
Oh, ding.
Michigan State.
There you go. You both got it.
What
So,
happened
I
to
mean,
dinging?
Yeah.
Well, it
the
was
fifth guess.
already
I mean,
over.
it didn't matter. Yeah. You guys both lost. That's the first time I
You
stumped
still-
you guys.
Still have some integrity of the game.
But I don't remember any of those guys in school, especially because one of them was in this 80s.
I didn't
70s,
know
and
the
one was in the
second
90s.
and third
so-
guys. Yeah,
I did not know I did not know Zach Randolph. Where Zach Randolph went.
I didn't even know Michigan
Stumped 'em.
State had a baseball team.
They do.
So-
I mean, I think every
Yeah, I
team, every
didn't
school
know
in the
that.
Big Ten has one.
I think you're
I
right.
didn't know.
No, Wisconsin
Okay.
doesn't. Wisconsin
Really?
doesn't have a baseball team. No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They used to.
Unwritten's fantastic 4 picks. You guys know the deal. We are 5-2-1, all tied at the moment. We're going to start it off with the Chargers versus the Vikings. This was a pick 'em, but now it's Vikings favored by 1. Jack, who do you
These are the Thursday lines, by the way. So if they change, that's why we just have to pick them on Thursday. I'm going with the Vikings. Kirktober's coming early. I honestly, you guys both picked the Chargers. This was one I wanted to be different. This game is a toss-up. I could see either team winning this. We're going to get to the Vikings later on, too. But you know what? Give me Kirk. Got Cam Akers. They've reinvigorated the running back room. Not really, but sure. Why not? Vikings. Jay Jefferson is one of the best football players I've ever seen.
Kirktober is 1 week away. You can't bet on Kirktober anymore. I mean, it's not been looking good. It's not his fault necessarily. Some of these games, there's no rushing game for the Vikings. Maybe Cam Akers, who had really no success with the Rams, could do something, but I don't really believe in that. I still think the Chargers have an opportunity to pick up a win here.
There's going to be a very unhappy fan base after this one. One of these teams being 0-3 is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take the Chargers just because I think they're a little better. The Vikings were very fake last year, and it's starting to show this year. So I'll take the Chargers.
The quarterback Doc curse is real for Kirk.
Yep.
All right, game 2, Bills versus Commanders. Bills traveling down to, is it in Virginia? Is that where the Commanders play?
Landover, Maryland.
Landover,
Isn't it?
Maryland. Yeah, Maryland, correct.
In FedEx.
Jack and myself, we have Bills -6.5. Payton, though, Commanders are 2-0. He's got them he's got the plus line, so +6.5. Payton, why do you have the Commanders covering this spread?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to win this game. Let me make that clear. If this was just a pick 'em, I would pick the Bills. But I think that Washington is a legit team this year. They're playing good football, got a good offense, or at least a competent offense. I still don't know if Sam Howell's really good, but he's looked decent so far. And I think that building is treating it as a bigger deal than the Bills are. So I think they're going to play wanting this game more probably than the Bills. Not to say the Bills don't want to win, and I still think they will, but I think Washington's going to give them a scare here.
That building will be rocking, literally, because it's kind of falling apart. But
Right.
I don't know. I just think this is maybe a good get right opportunity. I think the Commanders are a good team this year, but I think they'll be humbled in this one and they'll come back because they had almost a scary moment last week with that Hail Mary against the Broncos. They needed a lot to win that game, and I think if they start in any similar way the way they did against Denver, they're in for a shellacking by the Bills. but that's me.
All right, game 3. The Falcons are traveling up to Detroit to take on the Lions, who are favored by 3 points. Myself and Payton, we have Lions -3. But Jack, Falcons +3. You believe in the hype?
I do. I'm all in on Bijan. I'm all in on Ritter. I like the Falcons. I watched the Lions play last week. They're a little fraudy, I think. They had a wild game against my Seahawks that Seattle absolutely did not deserve to come away with the win, and they did. And I think the Falcons will get it done. I don't know. I'm buying in. I think they're kind of a frisky, fun team. I don't know. I like Bijan. He jukes everybody. Give me Atlanta here. A little bit of a risky pick. Maybe they'll lose by like 1, and I can still, get a win. But I'm going with the ATL. I like their red helmets.
They are nice.
I think, Peyton and I are probably in the same boat. This Lions team, it was a wacky loss last week in overtime, but I think they're still good. Jared Goff, I don't know if you guys saw this video, but Jared Goff is so good at, like handing balls off and then going back and faking like he's going to throw that he drew a unnecessary roughness call last week against Seattle.
Even though he didn't have the ball.
He got blown up.
Yeah.
And he didn't have the ball because he's so good at like hiding it behind his body that they thought whoever was on defense to hit him thought he had the ball on him, gets up celebrating. Flags are everywhere because he blew up a quarterback who didn't have the ball. So I still think Jared Goff is, he's a decent quarterback. And I think the Lions are going to come away with this one. I will say it might be a tight game.
This is another one for what it's worth. I will not be surprised if I'm wrong. I haven't had one yet this year that I'm like staking my life on. Like, I'm going to be right about this upset, but I'm going to just be different again. Maybe sacrifice my record.
4th game, final game on the docket. Rams, Bengals. We got Bengals -3. It's a Super Bowl rematch this time in Cincinnati. We all got Bengals -3. We've been saying it the last 2 weeks. Joe Burrow's got to get back on it. He hasn't been good in the first 2 weeks of his career. You can look back at the last 3 seasons, and he has not played strong. The Bengals have not won those games consistently. We think the Bengals are going to take down the Rams at home.
We're dumb.
Yeah, Joe.
We're dumb.
I have been waiting for them to kick it in gear. We've picked them every week now. I think unanimously each week too. But no, they looked better late in the game against the Ravens. It just wound up being too late because they put themselves in such a big hole. But yeah, I still have to trust that the Bengals are going to right the ship. I think the Rams are better than people expected, but I think the Bengals are going to play way more desperate in this one.
You know what? I'm switching. Give me the
wow.
Rams. Give me the Rams. I want to bet against the Bengals because I'm hedging here because I need Joe Burrow to do well. I have him in 2 fantasy leagues. So that way, if he loses, the Rams will I'll be right on this pick. If he wins, hopefully that means Joe Burrow plays well and I get fantasy points. Give me the Rams. I'm switching.
It's a good way to go about it, Jack.
Hedging.
Let's move on.
Oh, moving on. Oh, I didn't have it ready. I'm so sorry. Stand by.
I like no capping. He's the main bird.
My Sean East main bird of the week goes again to Adam Wainwright. He finally reached the 200th win, and now it just feels like he's given up. He was dominant in that outing. 6 scoreless innings and 7 scoreless innings in that range. But vintage Adam Wainwright. I found out this today, Peyton. When do you think the last time he made an All-Star game was?
2014 or something.
2014. That's correct. That's the last time he made it.
Right on the nose.
He had a very wholesome moment in the press conference. His son Caleb was up there with him, and he was looking underneath. You can go on the YouTube and see me. He's doing this underneath the podium because it actually was a podium and not a lectern. And it felt like, the Steph Curry stuff when Riley Curry would go up there with him. But, Caleb was having fun as well, and he was just excited to be with his dad. Adam Wainwright now is trying to get some at-bats. We have about, 3 series left in baseball for every team, and he wants to hit. Of course, he hasn't hit since the 2021 season, last time National League pitchers were in the lineup. On his career, though, he's a 5.11 OPS and a 193 batting average. I think we put him in the box. I think Ollie Marmol should give Adam Wainwright an opportunity to hit. You know what? Clutch situation. Bases loaded anytime in the next week. Put Adam Wainwright up there. 2 outs, even better. I think this is an opportunity for him to go out as a winner. I think they should do it. I think it would be fun.
I'm in full support of this because they're playing the Brewers in a lot of their last games. So if they want to throw Adam Wainwright in the batter's box and give the Brewers some free strikeouts, by all means, lovely. Also, wouldn't you stop trying after you got your 200th win?
Yeah,
I would.
I mean, he was trying his ass off the last 2 starts. I mean, he had to. He needed that 200th win. That's what he wanted. That's why he came back another season. I will say, Zach Greinke, I think he's kind of starting to slow down as well. They should put him in the box. He is trying to get that 10th home run, and I think he could do it if they give him some at-bats.
Sure. I'm for it. Free strikeouts. Free strikeouts.
What a shame.
Zach Greinke doesn't strike out. He has a hit in the World Series.
Wow.
This is a
Payton,
disaster.
What's your main
Really
bird? Cardinals. The
awful.
Cardinals stink. There was no one at their game last night.
Yeah.
Nobody.
But my main bird is going to be I had absolutely nothing. So I went and looked up bird news and found Fast, Beautiful, Mates for Life, why I am voting peregrine in Australia's Bird of the Year 2023. This comes from The Guardian, from Imogen Dewey. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I think it's Imogen Dewey. But she's voting the peregrine falcon as her bird of the year for Australia. That's about it. If you didn't know, the peregrine falcon is the fastest animal on planet Earth because when it dives, it is the fastest. It's faster than a cheetah. So,
is it peregrine or peregrine?
I've heard peregrine for a lot of my life, but I've also heard people say peregrine. But I believe it's peregrine.
Okay.
That's not how it's spelled, but I think it's pronounced peregrine.
I have no reason to argue against you.
Think about it like this. Dopamine has the exact same ending.
Oh, good point. Good point.
So I think it's peregrine.
All right, I'll yield. You've made a good argument. Yeah, shout out to Peregrine Falcon.
It's
my main bird of the week. Is it peregrine?
Yeah, I just looked it up.
Oh. Okay.
Get owned.
Pretend I said peregrine for the entire last segment.
I liked your argument. I was convinced.
I thought I was right.
My main bird of the week, I'm going back into the wide world of soccer. As we said briefly, Bayer Leverkusen's playing in the Europa League, the second biggest European competition in the world. I'm going to the Champions League, the biggest one, the one Bayer Leverkusen probably aspires to be in at the start of next season. But I'm going to a goalkeeper in the Champions League who plays for the Italian club Lazio. That's my connection to the bird. They have a bird in their logo. This guy's name, Ivan Provedel. He scored in the 95th minute to tie Lazio's game against Atletico Madrid, the Spanish team, becoming just the 4th goalkeeper in Champions League history to score a goal. People were also making a lot of jokes because it said on the clock like 94 on the clock, and he wears number 94. So it's like, oh, 94. I'm being a nitpicky nerd. He scored in the 95th minute, not the 94th. So correction on that, but still pretty cool. Became the 4th goalkeeper ever. He didn't really even it looked like when he scored too, he didn't really know what to do. He doesn't have much of a celebration. He just runs through his teammates and is just like, what just happened? But yeah, shout out to Ivan Provedel.
I totally understand that when you talk about the minutes. I think it's so silly that's how you have to look about it. Like right now, the game, Leverkusen is it's 55 minutes, 30 seconds into the game. That's the 56th minute. And I get that, but at the same time, it just seems silly to consider it.
Kenny freaked me out because he texted me pretty late in the evening and was like, can I call you? And I was like, oh no, what's going on? He calls me and he's like, is it 90 plus 4? How do you write the 9? He was writing an article about soccer and wanted a minutes AP style correction. Because yes, I agree. It is a little bit silly, for them to be so different about that. But I thought that cracked me up. But shout out Ivan, goal for Lazio, and they tied. What's next? Best thing he's learned?
Best thing I learned. Best thing I learned this week. The gift that keeps on giving, Lane Kiffin. So. This is an old story, the tweet that I found this from. The person that tweeted this animation of this story that comes from David Carr is from Charles Robinson, who tweeted this Lane Kiffin story never gets old. And it's an animation of David Carr retelling a story of when he was a freshman at Fresno State. He was playing quarterback. He started getting more and more reps from Lane Kiffin, who was the incumbent quarterback at the time. and he tells the story as at a certain point one day, Lane Kiffin just walked out in shorts and a t-shirt. Lane Kiffin said to head coach, Fresno State head coach, who is still the head coach there. He retired briefly, but now he's back, Jeff Tedford. Well, you're giving all my reps to David, so I figured I can just come out in a short and t-shirt. Jeff Tedford tells him to get off the field. Lane Kiffin's dad, of course, the legendary Monty Kiffin, is like, nope, you're not doing that. And so he becomes the assistant wide receiver coach at Fresno State, and that is how the illustrious coaching career of Lane Kiffin began. I had never heard this story, and I was cracking up when I heard it. It was so Lane Kiffin of him.
I'd also never heard it, and it was very funny. So you're not alone there, Payton. What a Lane Kiffin way to start your career.
And then he became a comedian. He was on Comedy Central for a little bit, had a good career under the alias of Tosh.0, Daniel Tosh. So, I mean, he had a great career. I love Lane Kiffin. Drinkwood's a great coach. I mean, he's had his ups and downs, and he's doing well this year. But if you had Lane Kiffin, man, that would be just him being the head coach of your favorite football team has got to be the life. Like, it's just so funny to see the stuff he does. And I was at the Texas Bowl last year. He did not give a shit about what he was doing. Like, he was like doing so many stupid plays, just running the ball around. And I don't think he really cared about the outcome of that game.
No, I think that's
he is a character and a half. He is, I think, grown on me like no one else. Like, I was like, this guy's such a weirdo when he was at USC. But he is just so funny. His time at FAU completely won me over.
Yeah, that was that. I think that's where I got sold too. He's a funny guy. But yeah, shout out that story. I'd never heard that before. Kenny, what'd you learn?
What I learned this week is that the Rays are getting a new stadium, but they're staying in St. Petersburg. So there was always talks that maybe the Rays would move. Montreal was in the discussion. Of course, the Expos used to play there. Now the Nationals. And it's weird to me that, that there was like a lot of issues about where the stadium was located. It's not actually in Tampa. It's in St. Petersburg, which is, an hour away, 30 minutes away from where you're living in Tampa. And, it looks cool. It wanted to open in 2008, and there's going to be 30,000 seats. And
you mean 2028?
2028. What did I say? 3028?
2008.
2008. So 2028, a $1.3 billion project. It looks cool. I mean, it looks really cool. It's going to be an upgrade from the Trop. I just think it's kind of silly that there was a lot of issues about where it's located and it's staying in St. Petersburg.
Can we still have Tropicana sponsor it? I like calling it Tropicana Field.
I think they need to
just give it as a Trop.
I think they need to just bury everything associated with the current stadium. I mean, it is a dump. I mean, the Trop is awful.
The Rays will have to change their Twitter bio. It's tweets with a hint of citrus. So they can't do that.
Oh, that's
that.
That is
still keep that. Just have it make no sense. I don't know. The Brewers need to do this now. They're next on this list.
They're moving to Nashville. Jack, what'd you learn?
Fam isn't good either.
I know. That's why they need the renovations. My best thing I learned, I'm going to go to the NBA. This is just a funny stat I saw on Twitter about Kelly Oubre. Of course, the illustrious small forward has had some good seasons. I'll give Kelly Oubre some respect he deserves. But nearly every team Kelly Oubre has left. He's of course played for the Wizards, Suns, Warriors, and now the Hornets. Went to the finals the next year. So in 2020, he left the Suns. They went to the finals in 2021. And then 2021, he left the Golden State Warriors. They then went to the finals in 2022, beat the Celtics. And then now in 2023, after 2 seasons with the Hornets, he's leaving. And so Hornets maybe put a future down, going to the finals. LaMelo Ball, they have some wild personnel problems, but maybe if they can overcome that, they just might be able to surprise everybody in the East next year. I don't know. I didn't learn too much this week, but I just thought this was kind of funny. I love when there was the Patrick McCaw thing. A lot of people will remember where he won 3 straight championships as a role player. I just like when these coincidences happen in the NBA. But yeah, Oubre on the move. I actually don't even know where he went. I meant to look that up. If he's just a free agent right now.
While you look that up, I mean, of course, another fun fact you can learn about Kelly Oubre is that he had to turn his Instagram comments off.
Oh yeah,
The
he
ladies
did.
love
That's
him.
Yeah, the ladies do love
And the
Kelly Oubre.
boys. The boys
You
and
get
the ladies
lost.
love
You
him.
get lost in those eyes. I will
Mhm.
will agree. Yes. Spent Washington 2 seasons with Phoenix, 1 season with Golden State. I don't think he has a home right now. So Kelly Oubre. Someone pick him
Well,
up.
if he needs a place to stay, got an extra room in my mom's house if he wants to come hang out. So he said he doesn't have a home.
I guess, yeah, poor choice of words.
We didn't have any
Come to the Rockets.
ratios. We didn't have any bonks, unless you want to bonk Jack for choosing Kelly Oubre Jr. For the best thing you learned this week. So
Fair.
we can bonk Jack on that one. But I do have a joke. Peyton,
As
you've
do
been a
I.
jokester yourself, so you can. I'll let you go first. You hit us with yours.
All right, Kenny and Jack. What does a nosy pepper do? Any
What?
guess?
Makes you sneeze.
Jalapenos.
It gets jalapeno business.
That's good. That's a good one.
I have one too, actually.
Oh.
You want to
Kenny,
hear
you
mine?
Yeah.
So, what state has the most roads?
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. Jack?
Okay, this one doesn't have it's not a question, but it's just a ham sandwich walks into a bar and orders a beer. The bartender says, "I'm sorry, we don't serve food here."
Pretty good. Could it be any kind of sandwich, or does it have to be ham?
I could be turkey. The joke I read was ham.
It could have been a pizza.
Or could have been a pizza. It could have been any food. They don't serve food. There you
Interesting.
go. Good jokes. All right, we're done with this. Moving swiftly on, we're gonna finish the show. We'll segue and do the fraud rankings of the week.
Fraud.
All right, it's that time. Finishing off the Thursday show. That means one thing and one thing only. Fraud. I got the glasses on. Kenny, I turn it over to you. What's our
Turn it
fraud?
over to me. We're going to Denver. The Broncos come in at number 5 on the fraud rankings. They've lost 2 games now. Not looking strong under Sean Payton. And
Bad.
Russell Wilson, not good at hearing things. He's going to have to wear a play sheet moving forward on his wrist because he can't get the words out fast enough because he's not unlimited. Going in at number 4.
Wait.
Country, we're
I just want to say,
frauds.
Broncos country can't ride. That was a good Hail Mary at the end, though.
It was
Hail
cool.
Mary.
Good Hail Mary.
Number 4, we're going to the state of Minnesota. Minnesota! The Vikings coming in at number 4 on the fraud rankings. Kirk Timber is no more. Maybe Kirktober on the horizon.
We're almost there. Yeah.
Number 3 on the list. You could say we're in Canada. You could say we're in Pittsburgh. It's all the same. There's no offense. It's just defense. The Steelers are frauds. Kenny,
And they
small hands,
won!
pick it. They won, and they're still frauds. Small
Frauds.
hands. My hands are bigger than yours. Kenny Pickett. Maybe learn how to throw the ball. If you,
What are they,
if
the
you wear a
only-
glove, you need to be good at this sport. And I think he has to take the glove off.
What are they? The only team that had negative yards of offense in the second half and won the game? Something like that.
It was in the fourth
Fraud?
quarter.
Fourth quarter.
Fraud?
Fraud.
Yeah, this
Fraud?
is a tough week.
Fraud and fraud? Huh?
Breaking character. This is serious. It was a tough week. I mean, this is a tough week for fraud rankings. Week 2 is always tough. Teams are coming in at 1-1, and we don't always know. So don't take shots at us. We don't make the rules. Number 2, we're going to Green Bay. The Packers. Jordan Love. You guys have to see this video of Jordan Love getting his toes crossed up, stepping on his laces, falling over into the offensive line. What's up with that? Jordan Love, the Burger King of quarterbacks. Fraud. And number 1. Although I chose this team to win this upcoming weekend against the Minnesota Vikings. Number 1 is the Los Angeles Chargers, formerly of San Diego. What's going on in LA? That's what we want to know. What's going on in LA? The Fraudgers are number 1.
They say
this
lightning
week.
strikes twice in the fraud rankings. Chargers will be back here later on the season.
Fraud?
Prediction. Fraud. Nice. There you go. Hope everyone enjoyed the fraud rankings. Like Kenny said, hard to rank them in week 2. But we'll be back week 3, and I'm sure more teams will become frauds. Glad the Seahawks made it out on a personal note. Big win over the Lions. Don't know how they did it, but yeah, football's been great. And any last things, gentlemen? I realize I never ask. I just kind of end the show. So
You should
get a last word in there. Another joke. All right, we're done here. Hope everyone enjoyed. Everyone go watch Mizzou on Saturday. Everyone go enjoy college football on Saturday. We got some great games. 2:30 slates looking really good. Colorado, Oregon, Ole Miss, Alabama, Notre Dame, and somebody else. I forget.
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Oh yeah, that's right. Clemson, Florida State. Great games. That Mizzou gets the nightcap of in St. Louis. So everyone watch that. We'll have a recap right after that game. We'll jump on in a full show Sunday, doing the SEC tier list, talk a little college football. So hope everyone enjoyed. Everyone have a fun and safe weekend. Enjoy the Mizzou game. We will see you on Monday. This was The Unwritten Rule presented by Bet Online.